Yeah, I'll bite. Really. This is what the real is in the programmer world, huh? Why kids get all damn delusional about, oh, well, I'm not just gonna say it, but you should know what I'm thinking. Well, why would they feel they have consequences if on the other end of that, be careful now, some of that's on the warrior end of that, they're Catholics.
This is an image of Mr. Jones earlier.
Except for 5, right? No Soldier Left Behind, some multi-world universe on what it is. I wonder how they're selling that one down the pipes.
If you have an explanation why
I keep it in the stone mill, multi-world universes. And if anything, at that point in time, you'd probably be useful. If that were.
Rocky Rambo Waynam Cam, the man who now admits that he killed Diana Maud Jones and Richard Jones in their Vancouver home.
Maybe today you're not ready to talk about the whole ugly story, but at least say you're sorry. For what? You're an animal.
After the officer storms out and the room is empty, Cam speaks in Chinese, saying, "This is effing crazy. I didn't kill anyone. How can I be sorry? I can only be sorry if I killed someone." Fast forward to his first-degree murder trial, and Cam has admitted he killed the couple, but claimed on the witness stand that he believed he was playing a video game. His lawyers are arguing it wasn't premeditated, and Cam was unable to form the intent for murder.
The case of Rocky Rambo has been covered on other channels, and very well so. But
That's
in this
a
video, we're not going to focus.
Very interesting topic. I've watched a couple interrogations on. There was a guy. He did the incels for the. What do they call them? They are in submissives or something like that. It's about this guy from JCS, I think is who did it. Josh Can't Swim or John Can't Swim or something like that. He does all kinds of interrogation videos and stuff like that. And so he talks about a few of his cases on his page there. He talks about why, the process of determining whether somebody is mentally incapable of crime, and it has to do with remorse. It has to do with mentally handicapped people. They claim can't feel anger, they can't feel remorse, they can't feel what's another good word for it, they can't feel envious. They don't have emotional standards like that in the way that. So it gets into a hot mess of things about, well, I'll send them to a mental institution for the rest of their life or prison for the rest of their life. And basically, when you get in there, the staffing agency of the location on a thing winds up being this hot mess of problems inside of there to really, realistically. And I want to say this carefully because it's a thin blue line. I want to be very, very clear about, it's like, and as an investigator, why do you care that the prison system or mental health, as long as they're behind bars and they're no longer part of society, or whether they get the lethal injection or not? Why do those things necessarily matter from the interrogations part when this job still has to be done? Now, internally there, you're still going to have cops, you're still going to have cop cars, you're still going to have all the other aspects of it, but you're going to reduce the load of the tax dollars that you as cops still pay into the prison system.
Focus so much on the crimes he committed.
To spend
Instead,
life
we're
in
going to
prison where they're
examine some
never
of the
going
footage
to
from his
put
initial
anything back to
interrogation
the pot.
and see if we can try to make any sense of the defense he tried to use, which was that he was suffering from a mental disorder and was operating in a so-called gaming consciousness fantasy when he took the lives of 2 innocent people. Before we get to the footage and our speculation about Rocky.
So what would I do here? I'd go, well, do you ever get angry at another player in the video game, when you're playing PvP or you're playing, some boss fight against the computer? Does that ever anger you when you can't beat that level? Well, right then and there, that shows to the jury, that shows to the defense, that shows to the prosecutors that they can show anger. And if you can show that inside here, at least as some of the features that you need, then that shows that they are mentally capable of serving time in prison. This is the law behind that. It's a general guideline to what goes into it. But obviously, when you go in through here, there was a beautiful case. A guy had Asperger's, you know, and he talked to his lawyers. He was actually fairly intelligent. He served in the military, didn't get past boot. He went to college. He had gaming skills, and I don't know if he was employed, but I know he was in system. And the defense lawyer tells you either say answering yes or no questions or say I choose not to answer. And at any point in time, you can cancel that. That's your Fifth Amendment right there, your Miranda rights and things like that. You have the right to an attorney. You have, you know, the right to cancel this at any point in time. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain attorney. You have the right to end this procedure wherever you want. You have, you know, the right to appeal this thing or whatever those values might be. And we're trying to quantify whether you understand those things. Right there, if you understand those values inside of there, yeah, I want a lawyer present. I would like a lawyer present with me. Anytime you really call the cops, you should have it in there. But I want to be fair. I don't necessarily think that that's the best choice in what goes on in here, because you want to see something about a defense attorney that's real nasty about lawyers and things like that. I got a good one for you. Check this shit out. Ooh, I don't want to do that. You know, you want to see something crazy. I watched one last night about where was yes, the curious case of this woman. She called a hit on her husband. Now let's forward this a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So that's the undercover cop. This is what she said.
Well, that's up to you.
I mean, you're gonna sound like this case, but like my understanding of everything was that, like, you know,
totally the guile of this woman right here. The sheer nastiness that comes with something from this. Oh, Florida.
And then after the fact, I guess you were gonna come and like find me or whatever. I mean, I'm good for
this is an
it.
investigation.
Not like,
Later on,
I mean, I know not to fuck around with you.
she's calling a hit on her husband.
Whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, you obviously know where I'm at.
The thing about self-destruction is that it happens all the time, and it's most often a very difficult thing to witness, as it can be the casual sequence of uncontrollable circumstances, such as adversity, tragedy, or misfortune. Yet when a person's self-destruction occurs solely due to their own greed and corruption, it becomes far less difficult and a lot more fascinating.
When it's done, you know, you have to have an option to change your mind. Even if you change your mind, I'm talking to home.
There's no changing, there's no, like, I'm determined already. I'm positive, like, 5,000% sure, like.
Okay. So after the trial, you know, she gets behind bars. They try to interrogate her. Let's do a quick little snapshot on this.
Get over here. Get over here.
So they're fucking with him, her good, because they want her to break. They're doing the bad cop, good cop thing.
Dahlia's involvement. She happily plays along.
She still thinks
You know
that
who this guy is? You've never seen him before?
that's the undercover cop, and they do it real fast.
Do you know her?
They turn it right on her.
Put your head up and look at her.
Put your head up.
I've never seen him.
What were you doing coming out of her
They're trying to
house?
catch her for what it is. Now, this is a fair interrogation process. It's their job to determine the information or make it look like, you know, they're not willing to tell the truth. They have no remorse on what they chose to do. They're not owning up to the situation, and that has horrible trajectory later on in life. Horrible trajectory. You can't trust that material.
Which sometimes means relying on physical appearance, and in some cases they have no other option. Yet the majority of those who navigate life in this manner do so without intentionally hurting anyone.
Narcissistic,
went out of her way to not only hurt, but to literally slaughter the
psychopathic,
person
are
whom
some
she
good
had
words
tricked into
for it.
falling in love with her, and for no other reason than monetary gain. She hadn't come from a broken home, nor was she a battered wife. There were no mitigating circumstances whatsoever. Only the cold-blooded pursuit to get what
But
she
even the
wanted,
judge at
how
the end
she
of
wanted,
it, yeah,
impartial
very
to the
weird.
suffering she would
Very
cause
weird.
as a result. In the next moments, her karmic debt will have finally caught up, and for perhaps the first time in her adult life, neither sex appeal nor her fabricated charm will be enough to save her from the consequences
You should
of her
hear
actions.
the phone interview after she gets arrested and calls.
You're going to jail today. For
Just
solicitation of
crazy.
murder. You're under arrest.
Definitely worth the watch. I suggest
That's
you
an
do this.
undercover police officer. We filmed everything that you did, recorded everything that you did. You're going to jail for solicitation of
What I
murder.
don't understand is why didn't they just arrest her right after the car after they had a mission on what this is? They paid it through. She already paid him $3,000. Why go through with some fake hit on this? This is fair. And this will be important to the next statement that I make in terms of the standard about lawyers in Florida in the defense. It's like that. This was already done and decided. Whether they decided whatever happens to, she's just completely denying it.
You're going to jail today. As soon as I'm done, they're going to...
I didn't feel comfortable going in the other one. Sorry, I will go wrong.
No problem.
You mind if I call you Dahlia?
Yeah, please.
And we know the truth. So,
That evidence is completely
I know it's hard.
overwhelming inside of here.
to
She
commit to
conducted the
that,
hit. She
but
never called it off. She never had any of those things. But even if she did decide to call it off, that's still,
do you have anything to say about this?
I'm going to talk to my husband.
what was the term for it?
Okay,
They
well,
said
you
soliciting
can't help me.
to
He's
murder
not here
somebody.
right now.
You know, you
We're gonna
called
go
in
home,
somebody's hit on
take
this,
care of the house the
and
dogs,
you
so
followed through with all the actions
thing is,
before
you know what
it
you
come down at the last point of contact before the cop,
You can look at it that way.
before the guy, or they finished off this act on what it is. This is Florida. It's a hot fucking mess, firstly. Let me be clear.
Big tragedy. I mean, someone's life. So,
let's go ahead. You know, this is where the phone call. This is her talking to the husband, which she had hit. She was on video.
Daddy, I'm gonna give you some advice, and you need to listen. You're gonna be ran around in there for a little while. Say no to me. You just basically said you to me, which is hilarious considering your situation and considering what the just happened today. All right?
Her one phone call. She calls.
Dahlia called her mother soon after, who was already informed of the situation by Michael and
At any rate,
appeared to be a
let's
little bit
continue
more
here, because I
understanding over
need...
the whole situation.
Hello? Mom, I'm in jail.
I
I need you to call
this right here.
Okay, who do you want me to call? I need you to call Mike in New York, please.
Michael DiPolito and former lover Mohammed Shahadi to get famous. Her now ex-husband Mike DiPolito says he couldn't wait to see what she'd say in court.
This is her appealing it after she served 2 years or a year or something like
in an
that.
exclusive pretrial interview with 2020 this past December, DiPolito said
suggest
she's
you watch.
just misunderstood.
Who is Dahlia DiPolito?
Understanding, sweet, and compassionate.
Manipulative, conniving. I got more than 3. Malicious.
Baited, enticed, and entrapped.
Her attorney, Brian Claypool, says
The second
Dahlia
she
is
pulled
the
the trigger
innocent
on it.
victim of a fame-hungry police department.
What the police department did is they found out she's an attractive woman. In their minds, they're like ching, ching, ching. This is a perfect skit.
How does
There's no
a
question
police
about
station
it that
gain money
the
from that?
Boynton Beach Police
They gain
Department
police
was dead set
publicity, but they
on
don't gain money.
manufacturing a crime here.
How damaging are these tapes to your client?
They are damaging because people have formed opinions.
Our job in the second
This guy
trial
should be
is to
arrested.
provide
How
a
can
proper
defense
context
attorneys
for
be
the
okay
jury
with this?
to
Because
see
somebody
that this
paid
is
them
not
money to
really
do that?
what it looks
Ching,
like.
ching, ching,
Claypool
ching,
claims
ching.
she
It's one thing
only
to
kept up
say,
the act because Mohammed threatened her with a gun.
well, why not turn in the police station?
To hurt my family.
Did you
Why
believe
not
he
bring
would?
up any of that up in
Absolutely.
the interrogation?
So she was
Why?
threatened
I mean, if that's the
to
guy that had
act
had
out
that in
a
there,
hoax on a
why
videotape?
not
I mean,
turn
do
them
you
in like
understand
that?
how ridiculous that
Was she
sounds
getting
to a lot
paid
of
by the
people
police
watching this?
station?
Yeah, that's
Why
not
not
ridiculous. You've got a
specify that information?
6'2",
Because that would be entrapment.
230-pound man with a gun.
Saying you will do this
Absolutely.
YouTube hoax
You-
or else?
Right.
5,000%
This
sure.
guy should
Not
be arrested.
100% sure, not 1,000% sure, but 5,000%
You're trying to
sure.
let a murderer
How do
let
you
loose
explain
on the
that?
street.
I look at that video and I see somebody who's struggling with
I'm
whether
sure somebody said struggling.
she's really sure.
She's struggling? What?
Why? Well,
How is she struggling if she's 5,000% sure?
you might find that humorous, but when I hear people say they're sure,
I'm 110% sure.
Why didn't she just tell police her version of what happened?
I've asked her that question too. Oh, yeah, everybody. Hey, Sergeant, this was just a YouTube thing we were putting together. She was in a state of shock.
I couldn't react. I just completely froze. I wanted to get out of there, and I felt just paralyzed. The tape was a show. It was a tape. That was
she
the
winds
purpose
up.
of it.
But
You
let's
were
go to the
acting in
judge
those
to
tapes.
end it here.
Yes.
But you're telling the truth now.
Yes.
Why
After
should we
this
believe
sentence.
Because it's what happened. It's the truth.
State of Florida versus Dalia A. Dippolito, defendant.
And your husband walked
30
by
years was the sentence
and
on
looked in,
this. And that's apparently for
and
soliciting
you were
murder
waiting,
turns
telling
into
Mrs. all
30
wrong,
years.
telling Mrs.
They
all
give her
wrong,
20.
and then later on the
She
telephone,
appeals it again.
you
And then
were
she
saying
gets out. And
he
then
was
they
confronting you
re-sentence
with
her
evidence.
to...
I saw the tapes. I saw the...
Dalia Dippolito was sentenced to 16 years in prison on July 21st, 2017. She was not given the possibility of parole, and her release date is set
that's
for August
good.
24th,
It does serve
2032.
the
her
sentence.
appeal was rejected by the Florida...
This is all wrong. And then later on the telephone...
So what was wrong with this judge's opinion on the sentences behind this, or what it is? I mean, well, this goes to the whole refining. It's like, what does 30 years in prison really do for what this is?
I saw what you saw.
What does it really do?
That's not true.
I want to be fair with that side of it. I don't really think it's sensible that, you know, when you do something like that, 10 years, you know how long 10 years is? Shit, have you ever been in jail? Let alone, shit, I was in there for, what, a couple of months. Feels like a lifetime. Believe me, you're not going to want to go back after that. But with that said, this is an attempted murder. This is soliciting murder. What's the difference between soliciting murder and attempted murder? That they didn't commit the crime themselves, and you hire somebody else to do it for you? Now, attempted murder would be premeditated first degree. That's a life sentence.
It was quite chilling to witness that.
What the fuck is going on?
Then, Ms. Dippolito, I'll accept the verdict of the jury. I'll find you guilty.
Carries up to a 30 year.
And I'm sentencing you to 20 years in the Department of Corrections.
So, I mean,
Dalia's first
20
encounter
years
with
behind bars
retribution
when
was
she's
a big
20-year-old
one,
makes
yet it didn't
her,
last
or
long.
30
The
years
sentence
old
was
makes
thrown
her
out on a technicality
50,
1 month
60,
later,
or
and
she
she
might
was
be
able to
25,
remain
30.
under house arrest
I know
for
after
6
the
years,
16
awaiting
years
her
she'll be
next trial.
50 something
Her second
when she
trial
gets out.
began in 2016.
Dalia Dippolito takes the stand
You know, what did
with
we
an
do for the
unusual
taxpayers
defense.
inside
Dalia
here?
says it was
What did
all
we
part of
really
the
do
plan she
to
had with her
say
then
when
husband,
that
Michael
judge said
Dippolito,
the effect
and former
of,
lover,
you know,
Mohammed
the
Shahadi, to get
the
famous.
vendetta
Now,
that you paid
ex-husband
back
Mike
to
Dippolito
society?
says
What,
he
you know,
couldn't
what did
wait
we
to see
really
what
do
she'd say
inside
in
of there?
court.
Let me know when
We
she's
made her
going.
so
I'll be sitting
old
in the
and
back
useless
with
inside
popcorn.
of
I'd love
the
to see that.
society.
In an
When we do
exclusive
let her back,
pretrial
what good
interview
is she
with
going to be
2020
for
this past
anything?
December,
What good are
Dippolito
anybody
said
going to be in
she's
here? I
just
want you all to think
misunderstood.
about
Who is
that
Dalia
today.
Dippolito?
Understanding.